Expedia and Visit Scotland invite you to come step into centuries of history that await in Scotland. Castles steeped in legend walk along cobblestone streets. Come share the warmth of stories passed down through generations. This is a place with a past that is fully present today and all yours to explore. Plan your Scottish escape today at expedia.com/Visit Scotland.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Cats, this ad is for you. Has your human ever called you picky, persnickety, choosy? If so, Perfect Bistro Cat Food is for you. With ingredients like wild-caught tuna and pasture-raised lamb, tantalizing textures, and delectable flavors that meet even the most discerning cat standards. You're not picky, you're just perfectionists. Perfect Bistro, mealtime perfection for every cat. Have your human visit perfectbistro.com.
This content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion advised.
From Killer Podcasts. True tales of horror, bizarre happenings, unexplainable events. This is Disturbed. Hello, and welcome back to the show. This week we have 5 stories that will alarm and unnerve. So sit back, listen closely, and dive into the horror. In our first story, one student finds out what it means when someone says, "You look like a friend I had." Narrated by Akisha Archer, from Reddit user Aureliana Fortuna.
This is a creepy incident that happened to me while I was living and going to college in India. At the time, my life was very routine. I went to college, then back to the hostel, and then the hostel to the college. I'd go back, study, eat, sleep, and repeat. Nothing unusual ever really happened. My hostel was located just outside the campus, about a 10 to 15 minute walk away. During breaks, I'd usually walk back instead of spending money on food since I had meals prepped from the previous night. It was a quiet route, not too crowded, and I had walked it so many times that it felt completely safe and normal. Until one day, it didn't. I was walking back to my hostel during a break when I noticed an auto rickshaw pulled over to the side of the road. A man was sitting inside. As I got closer, he called out to me and asked me for directions to a place that was literally right around the corner. It was somewhere anyone local would already know. That was the first thing that felt a little weird. But what really stuck with me was his face. He was smiling, but not in a friendly way. It was this strange, fixed, almost rehearsed smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. It was so creepy that I knew I would never be able to forget that sinister smile. I hesitated for a second, then gave him a quick answer, just wanting to move on. That's when he said it. "You look just like a friend I had." Something about the way he said it made my stomach drop. It didn't sound like casual conversation. It felt personal, too personal for a stranger. My mind started to spin, and I wondered what he really wanted. I wanted to get away from him as fast as I could, so I forced a police grin and nod and got out of there. I made sure to look behind me a couple of times to make sure that he wasn't following me. Luckily, he wasn't. Over the next few days, I saw that same rickshaw several times. I saw him look around and I hoped he wasn't looking for me, so I kept my head down and made sure I blended into the crowd. Nothing happened for the next few weeks, but then exam season started. If you've been through it, you know the feeling of constant stress, barely any sleep, your brain running on caffeine and panic. One morning, I was running late for an exam, like really late. I was rushing down the road, completely out of breath, my heart already racing from the stress. That's when a rickshaw pulled up beside me and asked where I wanted to go. I didn't even think. I was just relieved. I got in and told him to take me to the college. At first, everything felt normal. The auto started moving, the sound of traffic blending into the background. I was still trying to catch my breath. And then, I got a weird feeling that made me look up. There's a small mirror at the front of all rickshaws that is angled toward the driver. I looked into it and froze. He was looking at me. Not just looking, staring, watching me in the mirror. Then a sinister smile spread across his face, the same smile I'd seen just a few weeks earlier. It was the same rickshaw driver from before. My chest tightened. "You look like an old friend," he said. They were the exact same words. He kept saying them over and over again, like he was trying to make me respond. But I wasn't listening anymore, because in that moment, I knew I was in trouble. A wave of panic hit me so suddenly it felt physical. My hands went cold, my vision started to blur, and all I could hear was my heartbeat. The road we were on is usually pretty empty. That thought hit me hard. If something went wrong, there would be no one around to help. I started looking around, trying to figure out how to get out. That's when I saw vehicles approaching from the opposite side. Not many, but enough. Enough to be seen. And something in me just snapped into survival mode. I raised my voice loud, firm, sharper than I expected, and told him to stop the auto immediately. For a second, he didn't respond. His smile dropped, and he glared at me in the mirror. Again, he said, "You look like an old friend I had." The other vehicles were getting closer, and he was forced to slow down. It was now or never. I jumped out of the slowed rickshaw and made a run for it. I didn't look back. I kept replaying what happened in my head. The way he looked at me in the mirror. The way he said the same thing over and over again. Somehow, I forced myself to focus and get through the exam. On the outside, I acted like everything was normal, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something could have gone very, very wrong. For a long time, every time an auto passed by me, my body would tense up automatically. I'd check the driver's face and mirror to make sure it wasn't him. Later, I found out that one of my friends had gone through a similar experience, except hers was a lot worse. When we talked about what had actually happened, we started to realize that there were many weird similarities. Her driver also said over and over that she looked like someone they used to be friends with, and he also had that same sinister smile. To this day, I still think about how easily that situation could have gone differently, and I am so thankful that those other cars were on the road that day.
In our next story, a late-night walk leaves one couple running for their lives. Narrated by David Elder from Reddit user Sawyeratsu.
A few years ago, my girlfriend and I were taking a late-night walk. It was around 2 a.m. During the day, this road is very busy. It connects our town to the highway, and most people use it for their daily commute, but at 2 a.m., no one is driving where we live. It was a really nice night, and we were talking and laughing when an old white Citroen C15 drove past us. For those who don't know, a Citroen C15 is a durable, small panel van. At first, we just ignored it, but then it drove back by us going the other way. We figured maybe they just made a wrong turn and were going back the way they came. But then it passed us again, and again, and again. It didn't always use the exact same route, but it kept reappearing in the same small area. Sometimes it would loop back to the last place that it had seen us, and sometimes it would seem to slow down a little when it went past us. It drove by us a total of like 4 or 5 times, and we were getting pretty freaked out. At one point, it stopped at a junction near a stop sign for about 10 to 15 seconds, although it felt like forever. We were pretty close to the junction at that point, and a streetlight illuminated the inside of the van. There were 3 people, and they were clearly looking in our direction. They had these blank kind of looks on their faces as they watched us. My girlfriend and I suddenly both got a very strong, immediate feeling of fear that we couldn't really explain. Maybe it was intuition, I don't know. But we knew that we needed to get somewhere where they couldn't see us anymore. We saw a small cemetery up ahead, and we got off the road as fast as we could. We hid behind the mausoleum in the back, and we peeked around the corner to see what would happen. We could still see the van, but they couldn't see us. They drove by that same area at least 6 or 7 more times while we were hiding. And every once in a while, it seemed like they would slow down when they passed the cemetery. I swear we hid there for over an hour. The weird thing is that nothing ever really happened. No one ever got out of the van or tried to talk to us when we were on the road. Maybe they were looking for something or someone. I guess we'll never know. What I do know is that I have never felt fear like I did that night. But I've never felt anything like it before or since. Were they just lost or looking for something?
Don't run away. Disturbed will return in a moment. Most people don't think about what they wear. They just grab whatever's there. But when you start paying attention, you realize how much easier it is when everything actually works. That's why I keep going back to Quince. Quince has all the wardrobe staples for spring. 100% European linen shorts and shirts starting at $34. I picked up 2 of their linen shirts recently, and it has been in a constant rotation. It's breathable, comfortable, and still looks put together. And it didn't cost what I expected. Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands because Quince works directly with ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll use. Head to quince.com/disturbed for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. That's QUINCE.com/disturbed for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/disturbed. Most banks are built to take from you. Fees, overdraft charges, minimums. One mistake and your money is gone. Chime does it differently. Chime is changing the way people bank. They offer the most rewarding fee-free banking. This is fee-free banking built for you. They're not like traditional old banks that charge you overdraft and monthly fees. With Chime, you can get up to $1,150 in annual rewards, fee-free. Set up direct deposit and unlock more. You can get your paycheck early and even access up to $500 of your pay when you need it with MyPay. And the savings can actually grow. Chime offers 3.75% APY. That's 9 times higher than the national average. I know I wish I had Chime when I was younger. Chime is not just smarter banking. It is the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today. Head to chime.com/disturbed. That's chime.com/disturbed. It only takes a few minutes to sign up. Chime is a fintech, not a bank. Banking services for MyPay provided by Chime's bank partners. Optional products and services may have fees or charges. Stated annual percentage yield for Chime Prime only. No minimum balance required. For more information on APY rates, MyPay, go to chime.com/disclosures. In our next story, be careful who you date. You never know who you're gonna get. Narrated by Stacey Pattrone, sent to us by Disturbed listener Jana.
My story takes place in Belgium in 2004. I was 19 at the time, and I met a handsome, shy guy at work. He timidly asked me out, and we ended up dating. Being with him was fun. But after 3 months, it became clear there wasn't a real future for us, so I cut it off. He took it well enough, and even though I was worried about things being weird at work, they weren't really. Instead, something much worse happened. A few weeks after the breakup, I started seeing his car driving past my house. His bumper stickers made it unmistakable. I'd see him before work, on weekend afternoons, and even late into the night. It was unsettling for sure, but what was I supposed to do? He can drive where he wants, and it didn't seem so unusual for someone to cope with a breakup like that, so I didn't confront him. Then, one day, he showed up at my front door. I invited him in, and we stood together in the front hall. He was reserved, like he was when I first got to know him. Except this wasn't anxiety. This was something else. I asked how he was doing. He dodged the question at first, but pressed a bit further. Something was wrong. I could smash your head in with that wooden block. I was filled with fear. He said it in such a cold manner, almost like it was a statement of fact. Instinctively, my fear morphed into rage, a trick that, in hindsight, was an incredible defense mechanism. I screamed at him to get out, asking how he would dare to say something like that. I practically shoved him out the door, and he obliged. Maybe he was taken aback by how I was willing to stand up to him. Or maybe he just knew he'd find another opportunity. It came a few weeks later. It was evening before sunset. I was walking my dog a few blocks from my house when, within a blink of an eye, there was a hand on my wrist and a knife pressed to my face. It was my ex. He knew where I liked to walk, and he had been hiding around a dark corner waiting for me. Instinct took over, and I blacked out. All I know is that I squeezed my eyes shut, screamed, and somehow twisted my way out of his grip. I took off towards home and ran for my life without looking back. I made it to my street and let out a sigh, relieved that I hadn't heard him running after me. I took a moment to breathe, and when I looked up, there he was. He was 2 houses down, standing next to his car parked in front of my house. He must have hopped in his car, driven around the block, and beat me home. He called out to me and opened his trunk. He pulled out 3 air rifles, telling me that he was going to commit suicide if I didn't take him back. After that, I tuned him out and ran in the opposite direction. He was clearly insane, and I didn't want to be anywhere near him. I called my dad when I reached a seemingly safe block, and he came to escort me home. After that, we drove to the police station and told them everything. The authorities tracked him down, but I never filed a complaint. At that time, victims rarely got justice for what they endured, and it risked taking over my life. Instead, I told my boss and found a new job. For a while, I was scared he'd try to find me again, but he never did. I guess the cops scared some sense into him. Years later, he sent a friend request on Facebook, of all things. I blocked him, of course, but that was the last time I heard from him.
In our next story, a creepy passenger leaves us wondering what just happened. Narrated by Sinn from disturbed listener Aaron.
A few weeks ago, I was driving around with a friend of mine. Let's call her Emma. We were just listening to music, messing about, no real destination in mind. As we were heading over a bridge near the city center, a man suddenly stepped out in front of my car. I slammed on the brakes. He just stood there. He was bald, a bit older, started doing stop motions with his hands. Emma and I just stared at him for a second, trying to make sense of it. We got out, thinking maybe someone was hurt or needed help. That was not the case. He walked right up to us, too close, and asked if we could give him and his girlfriend a lift home. His voice had this edge to it, like he wasn't really asking. I said, no, we can't. We're getting our friend. But he didn't react to that. It was like he hadn't even heard me. He just kept going, please, please, please. My girlfriend's cold, over and over. His girlfriend stood behind him, barely saying anything. We didn't want to do it. Every instinct was saying no, but he just wouldn't stop. It felt less like agreeing and more like giving in, just so he'd stop standing there blocking the road, staring at us. He said he'd pay us 20 pounds in cash. I was pretty broke, and for a second that made it feel reasonable. So we let them in. At first, it felt like it would be quick, just a short drive. No big deal. But as soon as we started moving, I caught him in the rearview mirror. He was rubbing his girlfriend's arms, slowly, over and over. He'd said she was cold, but it didn't look like that. It didn't look comforting. It looked performative. I can't explain it properly, but something about it felt staged, like rehearsed. We made small talk on the way, or tried to. Then he casually said, "Oh, I don't actually have cash. Can we go to a cash machine?" I said okay, but then almost immediately he changed it. Said he couldn't. His girlfriend cut in, suggesting a bank transfer instead. We agreed because at this point it felt easier than arguing. When we got to his house, he headed inside to supposedly get cash. She stayed in the car with us. After a moment, she turned and asked, "Oh, do you take card?" Like none of the previous conversation had happened. Like we hadn't just agreed on a bank transfer. I said no and reminded her. She nodded, but it didn't really register. I gave her my bank details. She stared at her phone, fumbling with it, not really following what I was saying. I tried to help, leaning over slightly, pointing things out. But it was like she couldn't process any of it. Then suddenly, she stopped. "I really need to go now. Thank you, bye." And just like that, she got out of the car. No transfer, no hesitation, just gone. Emma and I just sat there for a second, then looked at each other. What the fuck just happened? She was already shaken. "Can we just get out of here? That was really creepy and dodgy." I told her to wait just a few minutes, hoping they'd come back and pay me. 5 minutes passed. No movement. No lights in the house, no sign that anyone was even there. So, we left. Now, I'm a fan of Disturbed. I know there are a lot scarier or creepier stories, but I wanted to share this for 2 reasons. 1, it was really unsettling at the moment. 2, hopefully you'll learn from my mistakes and never let random people into your car, even if they keep insisting. If you need to, phone the police, or get help from someone nearby, like staff at a bar or something. But yeah, don't pick up people you don't know. I can't believe I had to learn that the hard way.
There's a point where you start noticing patterns. Same bill every month, same charges that don't make sense, same feeling that you're paying more than you should. That's how it was with my wireless, so I changed it. I've used Mint Mobile for 3 years and I've never looked back. Mint was built to fix the way wireless works. Their premium plan starts at just $15 a month. You get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. No contracts, no extra fees hiding in the fine print. You bring your phone, keep your number, activate in minutes, and you're done. And the service holds up. That was the part I was skeptical about. But compared to what I had before, there's no drop-off, just a lower bill every month. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's mintmobile.com/disturbed. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extras, see Mint Mobile for details. Every idea starts the same way, quiet, uncertain. You wonder if anyone will care, if it's even worth trying. The hesitation stops most people. But if you're building something, the tools you choose matter. And that's where Shopify comes in. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From brands just getting started to established names, it gives you everything you need in one place. I was blown away by how I could build a clean, professional online store with hundreds of ready-to-use templates that match my brand. I can manage inventory, payments, and analytics without jumping between platforms. And Shopify is packed with AI tools that help me write product descriptions, page headlines, and even improve my product photography. If people have not heard of your brand yet, Shopify helps you reach them with email and social campaigns. And if you get stuck, their 24/7 support is always there. It's time to turn those what-ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/disturbed. Go to shopify.com/disturbed. That's shopify.com/disturbed. Welcome back to the show. Finally, Hawaiian folklore becomes real life. Narrated by Emerich Jimenez. Submitted by Disturbed listener Zorro.
The paranormal is a big part of Hawaiian culture. Most kids who grow up on the islands hear of the night marchers, ancient warriors who roam with torches in a haunted procession. People often have experiences where they hear the sounds of the drums, their conch shell, or stomping feet. Sometimes, people even smell the faint scent of sulfur. If you happen to be caught in their path, you're supposed to run. But sometimes, there's not enough time for that. In that case, you should lay down on your stomach, cover your head, shut your eyes, and pray. Breaking these rules meant death, but if you followed every step, and you had an ancestor in the march to speak for you, your life would be spared. Kids also grow up learning about Madame Pele, the goddess of volcanoes and fire. She's said to rise from lava itself, to warn of impeding eruptions, and haunt those who steal as much as stone from her islands. Stories like these have been passed down for generations. Sometimes people chalk it up to culture, but I think it's deeper than that. Something about the soil itself is sacred, and the islanders are just bearing witness to it. That brings me to my story. I was in 5th grade and about 9 years old, going to the school on the west side of Oahu. I won't say which one, but if you're from Hawaii, you probably know. I was in class in the middle of a regular day and asked the teacher to go to the bathroom. He said yes, and I left the room. Unlike a lot of the schools on the mainland, my school had walkways between classes that were outside. Since I was on the top floor, I could look out over the railing and see this huge field. It was probably bigger than 100 yards and had space for football, soccer, rugby, everything. Anyways, I walked down to the bathroom and did my business. As I walked out, I was looking down and adjusting my shirt. When I looked up, I spotted a figure in the middle of the field, staring up at me. I thought maybe they were a student or custodian, but it was weird that they were looking right at me from a few floors down and 50 yards away. I walked up to the railing, squinting to try and get a better look at them. The first thing I noticed was their clothes. They were wearing a white jumpsuit, a white cap, and had a blank handkerchief around their neck. When my eyes adjusted, I noticed something that sent chills down my spine. There was no face, no mouth, no ears, no eyes, no nose, nothing. A sense of dread washed over me. It was like what I was witnessing was wrong. It came on so strong and fast that it held me locked in place. A call from down the hall snapped me out of it. "Hey, you've got to come back to class." I looked over and saw my teacher a few floors down. When I looked back at the field to tell him what I had seen, the figure had vanished. If it had run or walked, I would have seen it because the field was huge. But no, it was just gone. I looked back at my teacher, who now was kind of irritated. He was snapping his fingers, saying, "Hey, come on, we've got to go back to class." I told him I was coming and left the railing. As I started walking back, the sense of dread completely faded, just as quickly as the figure had. A week later, we had this substitute teacher, an older Hawaiian woman, who knew a lot about the island and its culture. I made sure it was just us two, and I sat down with her. I said, "Hey, I experienced something last week," and I gave her all the details. As I spoke, she narrowed her eyes and got more serious. When I finished, she told me the history of my school. In the 1940s, when Pearl Harbor was attacked, my elementary school was used as a makeshift hospital for injured sailors, soldiers, and civilians. Apparently, her grandfather was a sailor during World War II, and she said that 14 sailors died on that field in the little tents they set up back then. She thinks that I saw one of the sailors who died. That really stuck with me. Again, I was only 9, so I went home crying and told my mom about it. She was understandably upset because, you're telling a ghost story to a little kid, and it's a lot to process. So yeah, that's the story. I've been thinking about it a lot recently because now I'm 19, the same age as many of those sailors. I hope whatever spirit I witnessed has found peace in the afterlife.
New episodes of Disturbed drop every Thursday. If you love the show, consider becoming a member to access early and ad-free episodes. There you can also access our exclusive monthly series, A Night by the Campfire, where we share the scariest stories we can find from professional authors. A few episodes have been released here for free, so scroll down and listen. I'm your host, Doug Bailey, and this has been Disturbed. If you have a story you'd like to share, email us at mystory@disturbedpodcast.com or post on our subreddit, r/disturbedpodcast. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and leaving a review. Disturbed is a production of Killer Podcasts and part of the Evergreen Network. For more true crime and paranormal shows, visit killerpodcasts.com. Our producer is Sarah Wilgrube, and Declan Roars is our executive producer. Audio engineering by Nathan Corson, Sean Rule Hoffman, and Will Pritz. Music by Epidemic Sound and by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Until next time, stay safe out there.
Hi, folks. Let me see if I can sum up Midnight Burger in about 25 seconds.
Really big monster!
Zero irony.
Congratulations! You are a prisoner of the Ted Empire.
Leaf dated an orb one time.
An orb?
The radio is talking to me.
A space pirate?
This is the stupidest dystopia we've ever been to. Yeah, that didn't work at all. At the nexus of all things, there is a diner. Look for Midnight Burger on your favorite podcasting app or just go to weopenat6.com.
In 2021, the wife and son of Alex Murdaugh, an attorney from a prominent South Carolina family, were found shot to death. The story captivated the nation. That's when we began the podcast Impact of Influence. In March of 2023, Alex Murdaugh was convicted of murdering his wife Maggie and their 22-year-old son Paul. The latest, Alex Murdaugh was granted a new trial by the South Carolina Supreme Court citing jury tampering. The case will be tried before the end of the year, and we will be on top of it. Get Impact of Influence wherever you get your favorite podcast.